let's start with a question. Have you ever met someone who felt like home? Not in the cozy, comfortable sense, but in the way a storm feels like home to the ocean, wild, untamed, and utterly inevitable. The twin flame connection. It's not just a meeting of two people. It's a collision of souls, a cosmic event that shakes you to your core and leaves you forever changed. But here's the thing. While the idea of twin flames is often romanticized, the reality is far more complex, especially for the one who runs. If you've found yourself here, chances are you're no stranger to the twin flame journey. Maybe you're the chaser, desperately trying to hold on to a connection that feels like it's slipping through your fingers. Or maybe you're the runner, caught in a whirlwind of fear, confusion, and longing, unsure of why you feel so compelled to flee from something that also feels so right. Either way, you're not alone. This journey, as beautiful as it is also one of the most challenging experiences a soul can undergo. The twin flame dynamic is often described as a mirror, a reflection of your deepest fears, your greatest strengths, and everything in between. For the runner, this mirror can feel overwhelming. It's like standing in front of a funhouse mirror that distorts your reflection, showing you parts of yourself you'd rather ignore. And so, they run, not because they don't feel the connection, but because they feel it too much. It's a paradox, really. The very thing they're running from is also the thing they crave most. But here's the truth. The running doesn't last forever. Eventually, the runner stops. They turn around. They face the connection. And in that moment, something extraordinary happens. They begin to see the connection not as a threat, but as a gift. Not as a burden, but as a bridge. Not as an end, but as a beginning. This reading is for anyone who's ever felt the pull of a twin flame connection. Whether you're the runner, the chaser, or simply someone trying to make sense of this profound and often perplexing bond. We'll explore the runner's journey from resistance to recognition, from fear to freedom, and from separation to union. We'll delve into the emotional, psychological, and spiritual layers of this transformation, offering insights, reflections, and maybe even a little humor along the way. Because here's the thing, the twin flame journey isn't just about finding your other half. It's about finding yourself. It's about peeling back the layers of fear, doubt, and insecurity to reveal the radiant soul beneath. It's about learning to love yourself so deeply, so completely, that you no longer need anyone to complete you, but you choose them anyway. So relax. Whether you're in the midst of the storm or basking in the calm after, know this: you are exactly where you need to be. This journey, as challenging as it is also one of the most beautiful experiences a soul can have. And you're doing better than you think. Well, let's dive in. Let's talk about fear. Not the kind of fear that makes you jump at a horror movie or hesitate before bungee jumping. No, this is the kind of fear that lives in your bones, the kind that whispers to you in the quietest moments of the night. It's the fear of losing yourself, of being seen too deeply, of touching something so sacred it might just burn you alive. This is the fear that grips the twin flame runner when they first sense the connection. And honestly, it's terrifying. Imagine you've spent your whole life building walls to keep people out, walls to protect yourself, walls to hide the parts of you that feel too raw, too messy, too much. And then, out of nowhere, someone shows up with a wrecking ball. Not just any wrecking ball, but one that seems to know exactly where to hit. That's what it feels like for the runner. The twin flame connection doesn't just knock on the door, it kicks it down, floods in, and starts rearranging the furniture. And you're left standing there thinking, what the hell just happened? The runner's resistance isn't about rejection, it's about survival. The intensity of the connection can feel like too much, too fast. It's not just love, it's a mirror. A mirror that reflects every scar, every wound, every unhealed part of you. And let's be real, who wants to stare into that first thing in the morning? It's easier to run, to hide, to pretend you didn't see it. But here's the thing, you can't unsee it. Once that mirror is there, it's there, and it's not going anywhere. You know what's funny? The runner's fear is often rooted in love itself. Not the lack of it, but the sheer magnitude of it. It's like standing at the edge of the ocean, feeling both awe and terror at its vastness. You want to dive in, but what if you drown? What if you lose yourself in the waves? What if you're not ready? And so you retreat. You tell yourself it's too much, too soon, too intense. But deep down, you know the truth. You're not running from them. You're running from yourself. And let's not forget the ego. Oh, the ego. That little voice in your head that loves to remind you of all the ways you're not good enough, all the ways this could go wrong. The ego thrives on control, on predictability, on keeping you safe in your little box. But the twin flame connection, it doesn't care about your box. It doesn't care about your rules, your plans, your carefully constructed life. It's here to shake things up, to break you open, to remind you of who you really are. And the ego, it hates that. So it fights back. It tells you to run, to hide, to do whatever it takes to keep things the way they are. But here's the kicker. The more you run, the more you feel it. It's like trying to outrun your own shadow. No matter how fast you go, it's always there, always reminding you of what you're trying to escape. And eventually, you realize you can't outrun it. You can't outrun yourself. You can't outrun love. So what happens next? The runner starts to crack. Not in a bad way, but in the way a seed cracks open to let the light in. It's painful, yes, but it's also necessary. Because on the other side of that crack is growth. On the other side is freedom. On the other side is the truth you've been running from all along. That this connection isn't here to destroy you, it's here to rebuild you. And you know what? That's the beauty of it. The resistance, the fear, the running, it's all part of the process. It's not a mistake. It's a lesson. It's the universe's way of saying, hey, you've got some work to do, but don't worry, I've got you. And slowly, ever so slowly, the runner begins to trust, not just the connection, but themselves. They begin to see that the walls they built weren't keeping others out. They were keeping themselves in. And maybe, just maybe, it's time to tear them down. So if you're the runner, don't worry. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. But don't let fear keep you from the greatest adventure of your life. Because on the other side of that fear is something extraordinary, something real, something worth fighting for. And honestly, you're worth it too. let's get real for a second. Have you ever had one of those moments where everything just clicks? Like when you're trying to solve a puzzle and suddenly, out of nowhere, the pieces fall into place. That's what it's like for the twin flame runner when they finally acknowledge the connection. It's not a slow burn, it's a lightning strike, a moment of pure, unadulterated clarity that leaves you breathless, wide-eyed, and maybe a little freaked out. You see, the runner spends so much time in denial, dodging the truth like it's a dodgeball championship. They'll tell themselves it's just a crush, just a phase, just coincidence, but deep down, they know. Oh, they know. It's like trying to convince yourself that the sun isn't real because you've been hiding in a cave. Sure, you can ignore it for a while, but eventually the light finds its way in, and when it does, it's blinding. Here's the thing about the twin flame connection. It's not just a feeling, it's a knowing. It's like your soul recognizes something your mind can't quite grasp. You might be going about your day, minding your own business, when suddenly, bam, it hits you. Maybe it's a song on the radio that feels like it was written just for you. Maybe it's a dream so vivid it lingers for days. Or maybe it's just a quiet, unshakable sense of rightness that you can't explain. Whatever it is, it's undeniable, and it's terrifying. But here's the kicker. The more you try to ignore it, the louder it gets. It's like the universe has a sense of humor and decides to crank up the volume. Synchronicities start popping up everywhere. Numbers, signs, messages that feel too perfect to be random. You start seeing their name everywhere, hearing their voice in your head, feeling their presence even when they're miles away. It's like the universe is waving a giant neon sign in your face, screaming, "Hey, dummy, pay attention. This is important." And then comes the guilt. It's like a little gremlin sitting on your shoulder, whispering all the ways you messed up. You ran away. You hurt them. You hurt yourself. What's wrong with you? But here's the thing. Guilt isn't the enemy. It's a signpost. It's your soul's way of saying, hey, we've got some work to do. And honestly, that's a good thing, because it means you're waking up. The awakening isn't just about recognizing the connection. It's about recognizing yourself. It's like looking in a mirror and finally seeing the real you, not the version you've been pretending to be, not the version everyone else expects, but the raw, unfiltered, messy, beautiful truth. And yeah, it's uncomfortable. It's like trying on a new pair of shoes that pinch at first, but eventually mold to your feet. It takes time. It takes patience. But most of all, it takes courage. And let's not forget the irony of it all. The runner spends so much time running from the connection, only to realize that the connection is the very thing they've been searching for all along. It's like spending hours looking for your glasses, only to find them perched on your head. You laugh, you cry, you wonder how you could have been so blind. But mostly, you feel relief. Because finally, you see. So what happens next? The runner starts to soften. The walls begin to crumble, not because they're weak, but because they're no longer needed. The fear doesn't disappear, but it loses its power. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. The shadows are still there, but they don't control you anymore. And in that light, you begin to see the beauty of the connection, not as something to fear, but as something to cherish. And you know what? That's the magic of it. The awakening isn't just about recognizing the twin flame. It's about recognizing the truth of who you are. It's about realizing that love isn't something to run from. It's something to run toward. It's messy. It's scary. It's unpredictable. But it's also the most beautiful thing in the world. All right, let's talk about transformation. Not the kind where you wake up one day with wings or a superhero cape. Though, let's be honest, that'd be pretty cool. No, this is the kind of transformation that happens quietly, slowly, like a caterpillar turning into a butterfly while no one's looking. It's messy, it's uncomfortable, and it's downright terrifying at times. But here's the thing, it's also beautiful. And for the twin flame runner, it's inevitable. You see, once the runner stops running, once they finally turn around and face the connection, something shifts. It's like the universe hits the reset button, and suddenly, everything looks different. The fear doesn't disappear overnight, but it starts to lose its grip. It's like realizing the monster under your bed was just a pile of clothes all along. You laugh, you cry, you wonder how you could have been so scared. But mostly you feel relief, because finally you're free. And here's where it gets interesting. The runner doesn't just accept the connection, they embrace it. It's like holding a wild bird in your hands. You can feel its heartbeat, its fragility, its strength. You know you could crush it if you wanted to, but instead you choose to let it fly. And in that moment, something inside you changes. You realize that love isn't about possession or control. It's about freedom. It's about letting go of the need to hold on. But let's not sugarcoat it. This transformation isn't all rainbows and butterflies. It's hard work. It's like cleaning out a closet you haven't touched in years. You find things you forgot you had, things you wish you hadn't, and things you didn't even know were there. It's messy, it's emotional, and it's exhausting. But it's also necessary, because on the other side of that mess is clarity. On the other side is peace. And here's the kicker. The runner doesn't just heal for themselves. They heal for their twin flame too. It's like a ripple effect. One small act of courage creates waves that touch everything around it. The runner begins to see that their healing isn't just about them. It's about the connection. It's about creating a space where both souls can thrive. And honestly, that's the most beautiful part of it all. And let's face it, transformation can be pretty ridiculous at times. It's like trying to do yoga for the first time. You're awkward, you're clumsy, and you're pretty sure you look like a pretzel. But you laugh, you keep going, and eventually you find your flow. And that's the key. Not taking yourself too seriously. Because at the end of the day, transformation isn't about perfection. It's about progress. And here's the thing about progress. It's not linear. Some days, you feel like you've got it all figured out. Other days, you're back to square one, wondering if you'll ever get it right. But that's okay, because every step, every stumble, every moment of doubt is part of the journey. So what does the runner feel after this transformation? They feel lighter. They feel freer. They feel more like themselves than they ever have before. It's like shedding a heavy coat you didn't even know you were wearing. And in that lightness, they begin to see the connection for what it truly is. Not a burden, but a blessing. Not a chain, but a bridge. Not an end, but a beginning. And you know what? That's the magic of it. The transformation isn't just about the runner and their twin flame. It's about the world, because when one soul heals, it sends a message to every other soul out there. You can do this too. It's like lighting a candle in the dark. It doesn't just illuminate your path, it lights the way for others. So if you're the runner, take a deep breath. It's okay to feel overwhelmed, but don't let fear keep you from the truth. Because the truth is this: you are loved, you are worthy, and this connection, it's not a mistake, it's a gift. And honestly, you deserve it. Let's take a moment to breathe, to really feel where we've landed after this journey through the runner's resistance, awakening, and transformation. Because here's the thing about twin flames. It's not just a love story. It's a soul story, a cosmic dance that stretches across lifetimes, dimensions, and the very fabric of who we are. And if you've made it this far, whether as the runner, the chaser, or simply an observer of this profound connection, you've already taken the first step toward understanding something extraordinary. The twin flame connection isn't just about finding your other half. It's about peeling back the layers of fear, doubt, and insecurity to reveal the radiant soul beneath. It's about learning to love yourself so deeply, so completely, that you no longer need anyone to complete you, but you choose them anyway. Because love, real love, is a choice. It's a daily commitment to show up, to grow, to heal, and to honor the bond that ties you together. So if you're the runner, standing at the edge of this transformation, know this: you are not alone, you are not broken, you are not a mistake. You are a masterpiece in progress, a work of art being painted stroke by stroke, moment by moment. And every tear, every heartache, every moment of doubt is just another color on the canvas. Trust the process, trust the journey, and most of all, trust yourself.